Pretty soon Greg's going to have to do the intro because I can't stop laughing at that stupid thing.
And in this corner, weighing in at 210 pounds,
kudos to the
masked grappler.
210, what am I, on a diet?
Well, you're in the lightweights.
I was not 210 pounds since 8th grade.
But we have Greg looking very spiffy with his vintage Aquaman shirt.
That's right. And I just want to go on the record as saying he should be a nice young white Caucasian nice guy instead of that burly fuck that they got on the movies now. Thank you.
This is for another show. But anyways, we're very thrilled this week to be firing up the studio. And I think from the song, so I have to think of a title for this one. We have our good friend John Erik Payton. He's brought along Bobby Olsen with him. Say hi, guys.
Hey, man.
Yo.
That was enthusiastic.
Wow. Bob's in a rare mood, and he must have taken his energy pill this morning.
I've had a lot of energy today.
Yeah, he just.
We're all really tired. It's Sunday.
I rode my bike here. No, I didn't.
But how's it been now? I mean, the C word's still rolling around, but you guys have been gigging again. How's it been going and everything?
It's been going really good. We were struck by the COVID bug back in April when we had to cancel a couple gigs, but we were all vaxxed and boosted, but some of our fans and then all of us went through it and got it, and we mostly were pretty okay. I know I was completely asymptomatic. Bobby got a little sicker than me, but that was the only time, and like I said, we're boosted, vaxxed and boosted, and we've been playing a lot, so it's been pretty good, actually. Wouldn't you say, Bobby?
Yeah, I mean, I had like one day where I felt really bad, tested positive, called the doctor. They gave me that, whatever the heck it is, those pills that now they're saying don't work, but I don't know. It seemed to work for me because within a day I was just like, I was tired for like a day or two, and then I was fine.
Right.
So, well, yeah, they're saying those pills don't work now, so I'm not really sure.
I've got lucky and haven't gotten it all this time. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, we've had other stuff, both Greg and I, that we could handle.
Our bass player hasn't gotten it either. He hasn't gotten it.
Well, he thinks he might have gotten it and gotten through it. I think he told me that because around the same time, it's like he felt crappy as well.
A couple guys
me, I just felt a little crappy, but I certainly wasn't bedridden.
See, freaking bass players.
Can you qualify?
Bragging me, I haven't gotten it yet, just like a week ago.
Can you qualify a little crappy?
This is so bad, but I'm thinking like those Super Bowl betting things. You pick something, you could pick people who don't have COVID and pick who you think's going to get it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well,
kind of almost could in some ways.
Yeah, but like at this point, almost everybody has had it.
I know a couple guys in Brian's band, Lindsay's band, got it. So
this is turned
we had to play 4-piece with two different guys. One guy got it, then a couple weeks later, another guy.
But it was only a factor in our busy schedule over the last year one time.
That's good.
It only interrupted our flow one time. We had to cancel a Johnny's gig. So we've been lucky. We've been really very lucky.
But how did you now, Bob? One thing I wanted to ask you. I think your guitar style is very bluesy, very heavy, very awesome. Yep. What were your influences? How did you decide? I want to do this. I want to rock.
You mean like from day one, or
from whatever? We're casual on this show.
Well, I mean, as a kid, I didn't really know. It's a funny thing because when I was younger, like it seemed like when I was playing air guitar with a tennis racket, somehow, it got a little bit noticed that, hey, how come he knows that the notes get higher as you go up the racket? And so there was some kind of a recognition there. But I mean, I was like, when I was in third grade, I think I had every Kiss album.
Hey, cut out that racket.
Yeah, I had every Kiss album. And I remember playing Rubber Soul, like Beatles. I remember playing Rubber Soul and jumping from my dresser to the bed with the tennis racket. And then I got I had a little phase of, getting into like Judas Priest and Black Sabbath and all that. And I think actually Black Sabbath was my gateway to the blues. Because I heard the version of Wicked World on Live at Last, and they go into that sort of jazzy swing thing, and I was like, what is that? And then almost about the same time, heard the opening track to the Allman Brothers' first record, and Don't Want You No More, Not My Cross to Bear, and I completely switched gears and dove headfirst into blues. I stopped listening to everything else. My whole collection was Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Albert Collins, all those guys.
It's
the Three
funny.
Kings.
You mentioned like the swing. I started listening to some of my the stuff in my collection, and you listen to some of the old '60s. I mean, guys were playing in 3/4 all over the place.
Right.
Even like Grand Funk had a tune that swung a little bit in one of the middle sections. But I'm just, people don't do that now.
Right.
It's like they don't touch it. It's like unless it's a country band and they're doing a waltz or something. Right. I mean, it just used to be more variety. And
that's what I was going to say, too, getting, of course, Jimi Hendrix comes in as soon as you start learning guitar. Generally, he's going to be a guy that shows up, you hope, at least. And, just like, the waltz, Manic Depression, or, some of that stuff kind of creeps in. And next thing you know, your whole music vocabulary begins to change.
Oh, I know. That was a must-learn, Manic Depression.
Yeah.
All the drummers were going nuts trying to figure it out.
Yeah, you just really kind of change. And then from there, I mean, it's just gotten even... more intense, because I started to go, I went all the way back to like Sun House and that kind of blues, Delta blues stuff, and then kind of went back, got back up into time, and like we were just talking about with things like Aquarium Rescue Unit and, Derek Trucks Band stuff, early Derek Trucks Band, or, which is all kind of related. But, Mahavishnu Orchestra, I got into Prague, Jeff Beck. Wired and Blow by Blow is life-changing. I still listen to those albums, like, constantly.
I've been thinking of actually a couple of albums I've had where I've had to buy more copies because I ran them ragged.
Yeah.
Like old albums. Like
I remember, watching John McLaughlin, I think it was 1973 or 4. There's a great video of they're going into Dance of Maya, and he goes... in a really nerdy way, he goes up to the microphone. And for those of you that are interested, this song is in 11.
Maybe that's where they got it from.
Yeah,
We knew that.
they did.
It's interesting to think now how we have all this access to, because I've like Keith Richards' book. They were saying when you found an album back then in England, everybody congregated because it was so hard to get. But he was talking about Muddy Waters, and he was saying he's talking to Muddy. He can't repeat some of the chords Muddy's done. And I know Robert Johnson would often play with his back to the audience, so you couldn't pick up on him.
Wow.
Well, Robert Johnson's clearly a freak of nature, because look at the longevity he had for the short amount of time he was around. And the idea, too, is that, apparently he approached some of the, some of his peers, and they're like, go home, kid, figure out how to play. And then like a year or two later, he comes back literally playing Delta blues in a classical style, because he was playing bass lines, he was playing chords, he was playing melody all at the same time and singing. So it's like, here's this, Son House, and the rest of the, the peers were like, dude, you ain't got it. And he comes back and blows their other, he just took over.
So is that what fueled the Crossroads story, you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How did somebody learn all that quick and that good?
Right.
And that, of course.
Well, that's how the podcast came to be, too.
The podcast?
The Crossroads.
A foggy night on the Crossroads for you there?
I had to deal with the devil.
And it's always interesting how you wouldn't think of different styles of music. We owe Black Sabbath to Django Reinhardt, because Tony Iommi worked in a factory, hurt his hand,
Right.
remember? And he thought, I'm screwed, I can't play. Then he heard about Django Reinhardt, whose his fingertip was off. So he
And that's how we got Judas Priest, too, because Hell Bent for Leather, and I heard that Tony Iommi had leather fingertips.
Right.
So,
yeah, he made them.
So it's almost like the Kevin Bacon story through Black Sabbath somehow.
And somehow it all, unfortunately, led to Poison.
And we all got sick.
But also, remember, Iommi was in Jethro Tull for 6 months.
Right.
If you watch Rock and Roll Circus, he's playing with them.
Yes. That's great footage, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that, because I remember reading his book about that. But now, how did you two come together in this, and how long have you been playing together?
We came together
over me.
We came together over an unfortunate incident, the death of Tony Cavagnaro. And it's very, very funny. Bobby and I are almost the same age, playing in the same scene since the 80s. And Tony died in 2007, and our paths hadn't crossed till then. And we had several friends, but somehow our paths never crossed. And when Tony passed suddenly in that car accident, and we had that humongous, complicated library of music to replicate if we wanted to get on the road. And we started working with a bunch of different guitarists to put together his tribute show. And one of them that really stood out to me, as far as me having instant chemistry with him, and someone who like seemed to get it as far as what we were doing in that band at that time, Buddhahood, it was Bobby. And after we did the tribute show, we were trying to flesh out who was going to take Tony's place to carry on. We were originally thinking maybe a combination of a couple guys. Bobby came down and he learned this category of tunes in like a month. Like
I can explain how that all went down. There's a couple reasons. There's a couple reasons behind that. One, I started playing with Tony in the '80s, as you say, back when Dave Altman, bass player, was alive, and they were collaborating quite a bit. And I started playing with Tony, and we had just a rock band doing ZZ Top tunes and things like that. And this is kind of like just before Rub the Buddha, the original incarnation of Buddhahood, Rub the Buddha, started, which I believe was a trio. Might have been
it was Altman, Tony, and
Paul Mastriani, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but the thing is, I had been playing in band, and then Tony and I, had this band called the Mysterious Blues Band that we had. We played, I think that had a 12-year duration.
Yeah, that was around a while.
But we had many years of playing together, and I just really understood how he played from playing with him all the time. And I remember too, he was having some issues a little bit with like numbness in his left hand. So he was like trying to figure out what was going on there, and in the midst of that, he was trying to simplify his playing so that he didn't have to jump around the fretboard a lot, that was actually key to some of his style, and I knew about it. I don't know if he was, I don't know if he disclosed that to too many people, but he did with me. And it would just so happen that when we were doing this tribute thing, and I was asked to play a couple songs, I was also trying to help just fill in and keep the ball rolling. I think it was supposed to be a one-off tribute, in fact. We weren't supposed to keep going.
We were going to carry on, but it was still up in the air.
And, I was working construction at the time, and I had just gotten laid off. So I didn't have a job. So I literally spent like 2 weeks playing Buddhahood songs from like 10 o'clock in the morning till 11 at night. And going to the rehearsals, and I literally just learned everything. I had all the CDs.
How many tributes have there been?
Well, after the 10? Original one, there's 10 or 11, right?
His 10-year anniversary was the last one.
Wow. That's pretty good.
But that's the thing, is I literally did learn a huge vocabulary of stuff in a couple of weeks, but it wasn't like I was, I'm not that gifted. I spent a lot of time on it.
I don't know. I've played with you. I think you're pretty damn gifted.
He's being too kind, because even though Bobby's forte is his heavy blues influence, he came down and played all our world music, all our reggae, all our Zydeco. I mean, he came down and did it better than anybody else, in my opinion. And just shows you the chameleon he is. And
thanks.
And so that's how I met Bobby. And it's funny, because even I was working with Bobby back in the '80s when Tony was working with Tony back in the '80s when Bobby was working with Tony, and
never quite crossed paths.
Somehow never crossed paths until Tony passed. And even I remember Tony. I was in the Buddhahood, and Tony was doing the Buddhahood thing and the Mysterious Blues thing. And gigs occasionally would conflict. That's when you bounce stuff around. But Bobby was in that. I still didn't meet him back then.
Eventually Tony, had to kind of part ways with Mysterious Blues Band, which it was a little rough at first, because I kind of initiated that, because Mysterious Blues Band was really starting to take off at the same time that Buddhahood was. So I kind of confronted him, dude, you got to make a choice, because you can't just act like we're going to sit here and not do stuff and just do gigs when you can, because we were on fire too. We had a good band.
Yep.
And so that's kind of how that went. And I think there was a little bit of animosity with me and Tony for a little while, but that got buried. And Buddhahood ended up being fantastic, and Mysterious Blues Band ended up being fantastic. We really were both
on fire,
paralleling, some greatness.
Well, I gotta say, knowing you guys as long as I have and playing with you both, nobody phones it in. Mm-hmm. Both you guys, and I like to include myself in that too.
Yes,
although I've looked at some of my videos and I look like I'd rather be somewhere else.
You ever
but I just don't emote a lot.
The worst is like if you're playing, you see drool coming down your face, and you didn't notice.
I don't see that yet.
I just stay calm and play. I don't know. I've just never been a crazy jump around. Anyway, but you guys never phoned it in, and you put a lot of spirit into what you do. And Bob, I know you're like possessed when you play. And he's like getting on his knees, he's sliding around, he's jumping around, he's playing all kinds of cool stuff. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. To anybody, get a chance and come out and see these.
No, you tear it up like when you play guitar. It's like it really is a thing when you really do rip it up on stage.
It is. And
we're not playing any ABBA there when you're playing.
That's right.
Yeah, and like Bobby, myself, Drew, we're all kindred spirits in that way, man. We are. And the chemistry between us, we clash like brothers at times, but there's a deep love and respect.
And I've heard the rumor, I don't even want Bob to tell it, that anybody who's going to come in the band has to go 5 minutes in the ring with the masked grappler.
Yeah.
To test the metal.
Really just to see their pain tolerance.
I mean, he takes it kind of easy on him a little bit.
Or get into a debate with Drew.
Because you don't want to cripple anybody.
They think about that for 30 seconds and they mask grapple.
But the other thing you
I'll be less bloody.
Words, I think the two magic words are serendipity and chemistry. You can take a bunch of musicians, they could be incredible, put them together, it's not going to come out good.
You don't have it. I'm not putting me in the category of incredible musician, but I've been there where I've been with a lot of high-level players, everybody, and it's just not coming together. And
right.
You know what I mean, Bobby?
Yeah. Sometimes the chemistry just isn't there, And that's a really good point, John, because this band really, if you think about your history, where you came from, I talked a little bit about mine, but then you talk about where Drew's coming from, and you talk about where Jimmy's coming from. We're all coming from wickedly different musical backgrounds. We may have some things in common, but I can tell you right now, there's a lot of things that you and Drew bring up at rehearsals that I've never heard,
and vice versa. All of them, and we make it work. So.
And that's what I think is the real coolness of the band is,
letting all those things in there.
Exactly.
And I think that's like the thing where I love, like for example, I love Jeff Beck, but you think, or Richie Blackmore, but you think if they could work better with others, sometime, and I think. You should have a lot of confidence in what you do. It's good to have confidence, but you should also not be like so sensitive or like defensive. Where if somebody comes up and go, that sounds good, but I think it could be better like this. So you're open to other ideas. What are you into right now? Oh, I've never heard this Afro beat from this country or world music, and you're open to it. And one of the things that hit me recently about music when I was talking to a friend about this show, and we always say go see what you like, go see what you don't know because you might like it. I think the thing that makes me mad about like some people, like especially like in high school, where they would like whatever, fine, but they wouldn't be open at all to try anything new. That got me where I would make like Gun Club CDs, and I would hear, dude, this sucks. Why don't you go listen to some good music?
Like Brett.
Not enough Journey?
That was a Journey, the big Journey, REO, all these, and it's fine if you want to go see that
stuff.
I like
that stuff, I do.
You got a dog named Bytor, for God's sake.
Yes, I do.
And I knew the reference, too.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, about Kiss, too, whatever they say about it, I think those first 3 albums were sloppy, hard rock, man.
Yeah, I mean, the songwriting, you might not like it. There's a complete gimmick going on.
Undeniable
But there is, they knew how to write songs, and, look at, they're still fucking doing it.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
70 years.
They're still doing it.
You can say fuck, Bobby.
Okay. That's the beauty of the podcast. We're not a radio show. You can say all the dirty words you want.
Fuck.
And, if I could say something on Drew's behalf, I think, I'll say it from my perspective. I think, this is something that also makes this band very cool is Drew is, a saxophone player who is now also a keyboard player, who is also a flute player, who is a singer. He's really spends a lot of time trying to hone in on those crafts. And he's also he's not your typical horn player. I mean, most of the horn players I know kind of go through the typical sort of thing where, you got to like Coltrane, you got to like Baird, you got to like And he doesn't really necessarily care about that. He'll tell you all the time that like Clarence Clemens is one of his heroes.
Yeah.
And he's playing flute, but it's like he's not. Like here's a dude that's like he's just getting off of listening to punk music and playing flute.
Yep.
Chris
You know,
Wood from
so-
Traffic.
So it's really, I mean, yeah, definitely into Bowie. And I know, like, when you talk about Bowie or even Beatles or these, that's part of why I think that era of music is cool is because they're not really genre specific.
And I think that's what summed up a
good
lot of
point.
my friends and myself. We would be going like to Lakeshore Record Exchange. We'd have a Hank Williams album on top of the Zombies album on the bottom, or like a Metallica album or something on the bottom. Or the one night I remember the Crass band was playing. It was like his punk band, and I said, "Well, I'll be there, but I have to go to a ballet first." All music, like Dizzy Gillespie said, there's good music and bad music if you're open to it.
Yeah, but because of all these things, it's kind of hard to pigeonhole us as.
That's what I was going to say. When I
what we
recommend
are.
you guys, like the Mighty High and Dry is another one where I just say, okay, what do they sound like? I go, well, they got a guy who's a mask will beat the shit out of you if you cause trouble, but otherwise you can have a good time. But
it's a fantastic rockin'.
I can't really see what it is, but it's just good music.
My tagline is it's a fantastic rockin' reggae jam, jazzy blues, power pump, sonic carnival. Sometimes I say explosion.
You forgot
But
electronic.
explosion denotes we don't have any nuance. We do. We're a sonic carnival.
You have I call it a heavy sound because there's so many layers to it. There really is. It's like it's a wall of sound.
But again, it changes because that's what I'm, because of pandemic, because of these things, now that I'm, kind of back in the seat of playing guitar with these guys, coming from all these different places, I have originals. John has originals. Drew has originals. They're coming from, and those originals come from different places, which again kind of puts us in that we're not genre specific either.
Yeah,
so we can be a little confusing, I suppose, to how people how they want to classify us. And I think that's the best part about this band is that you can't just say they're this or they're that, because otherwise that can be boring.
I think everybody would agree, like Greg and it agrees when you come in, there's like a sense of adventure when you're going to play. Like, what are we going to come up with now? It's not like, it's going to be the same old stuff we just did. Like,
I mean, it can also be challenging at rehearsal, trying to flesh the time out to everybody. So we do a good job of that for the most part. If it's getting heavy on one side, we make sure to get some time in on Drew's stuff, my stuff, whatever, Bobby's stuff. We're encouraging our bass player to write stuff. Our percussionist Jimmy has some great ideas, and he has such a great input. He always has this kind of input you wouldn't think of coming out of left field that always seems to work out.
Yeah, it's like we kind of try to make the bread, and then we have like our bass player and our percussion player, the slicer, come in and, but it really does seem to really work quite well, and I think we've done really good at dividing time to make sure that all ideas get in, and also to not just have one person have the idea, but to collaborate on the ideas that show up.
And I think, or maybe it's more heavy on one person this time than the next time
Exactly.
somebody else pulls.
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
And it's just, and I've really become aware as I've gotten older, the passing of time and the passing of friends. I remember the night I listened to Mound of Sound again, and I remember that night.
One of the best lyrical songs I think I've ever heard. There's nothing but passion.
And it's more, and it's true. It comes from the heart.
That's what I'm saying.
As you get older, you relate to it a lot more too.
Absolutely.
Because unfortunately,
it touches a lot of people, and I'm very fortunate to be, it's such a freaking simple song. I'm not a crazy songwriter with all kinds of chord changes.
I think
and
sometimes to
progressions.
keep it simple, stupid thing really works too.
These guys helped it make it special and magic. I remember bringing it down, and Bobby had to transpose it for me because I was playing it with my bar chords and singing in my attic. And when I went to sing out, it was way too high for me, so he had to And then always coming up with a good idea. I mean, we had a great night at practice the other night, working on one of Bobby's tunes. The collaboration made it better through, the little bridge part with Drew's chord changes and the solo.
Well, like your name infers, it's a project. So the point is, it's a collaborative effort all the way around, and it should be that way.
This is my,
and it's good that you
Well
get assistance, huh?
Yeah.
Well said. I like that.
Well, that's why we have the musicians, because I don't know what
That's
the
why
hell
I'm co-host.
talking about. Like any technical stuff.
You're a musicologist,
Yeah,
so, Rob.
I'm the supporter. I know shit. And I could carry a tune up 4 flights of stairs with help.
You're
Well,
important.
and the other thing, too, is, I think one of the things that this band does well is to kind of consider that no song is ever truly finished. Things can change.
Right.
Things can grow and change. If a new idea shows up for a song, especially if it's a song that, is a, popular song, I dare say. If we have a popular original, that we can still change it. We can still do things to keep it interesting for not just the audience, but for ourselves.
Certainly,
know?
certainly.
Have you ever recorded something and then as the song gets played live, vocals go on that weren't there or whatever?
Sure.
And then you're going, shit, we should have recorded it that way.
Right.
Always.
Or the one I've seen sometimes from friends, too, where all of a sudden they'll pull another song in the middle of it because it just feels like it on spur of the moment.
Sure, like a medley.
Which
kind
is
of
always
stuff,
cool. I might be totally wrong about this part too. Disagree if you want, but I've gotten this view on prog rock compared to like songwriting, where I think prog rock, it's like if you're a musician, you want to be challenged, you want to do it because it's going to take you and push you. But there's a little bit of like an antiseptic feel to it, where there's no feeling or stuff. Whereas I think like if you're a singer songwriter, you don't have to be perfect, but you got to touch people and have them relate and everything.
Yep.
I think you're right. I think that
Holy shit,
prog
that's a
rock.
first for this
No,
show.
I think prog rock is it definitely is parts. It needs rehearsed because those things. There's so many things happening a lot of times. When you talk about like Emerson, Lake and Palmer or stuff like. I remember my friend Dave used to run sound over at Water Street Music Hall with what's his name from Overkill and but anyhow. Emerson, Lake and Palmer rented to join out to practice while they were on tour, while they were in town, and they would just keep going over stuff. And I know that even some of our stuff, if we don't practice it somewhat regularly, you can kind of forget little things.
Grows hair.
You know what I mean? Grows hair. And so I think that's a thing. Is like, there's certain types of music that allow a little bit of I don't know, maybe something's can kind of constantly change. And it can be hair, but it doesn't feel that way, But then there's other things that if they're not tight and they're not right, man, it's not tight and right.
Certainly not, certainly.
And prog rock is...
I'm a huge prog rock.
I am too. Don't get me wrong.
Me too.
I'm a huge fan.
I'm more into Czech rock myself.
Czech rock.
I've never heard of this.
Vacuum. Prague, never mind. The country, never mind.
Okay,
Bad joke.
Better ask the next question. I failed the conversation, Greg. I'm so lost for a minute.
Dead air. Oh my God, the nightmare of radio.
I can't think of what to say after you said that.
Greg and I have a history of playing together, too, and he and I used to have some really good back and forth, like, sort of sharp tongue.
The non sequiturs were just pouring out.
Oh, man.
How do you decide on what cover songs you do, too? Because I heard, like, Miss You, but that was for Charlie, obviously. It was a no-brainer.
Certainly. Miss You is a very fun, easy song that people love to move to, and we do our version. We certainly aren't trying to cover the Rolling Stones. We, like I said, with the diverse influences of the individuals, we bring stuff down. We don't work, sometimes it's like, will that work? The instrument. You don't get caught up in the instrumentation you do or don't have. We figure out ways that, and also it has to pass a couple tests I talked to Bobby about a lot.
Right.
It has to pass the wedding band test. And no offense to wedding bands, but it can't be a cover you hear all the time at a wedding
Turn
band,
around every now and then.
or any common cover. Any common cover you're going to hear. It's got to be a deep cut. We break the rules with Miss You. Everybody plays Miss You. But I think our version is very fun.
Yes.
I think you hit on something, though. I was discussing this last night with my bass player when we were playing. Well, not while we were playing, on the break. But, hey, by the way.
That's why nobody got that song.
I know, I'm a little off the game today. Sorry, I woke up late. No, but
I know we're even taping late. You woke up late.
I think it's important that you have your identity, even if you are covering songs, that you're not really trying to replicate it. You're just interpreting it. And I think that's very important. And I think people are a lot more accepting of that now than they used to be.
Well, for one thing, on design, we tick up the tempo of almost everything we do a couple notches. There's a point you can go too far with the tempo and you ruin a nice melody line. And Bob and we've listened to recordings and Bobby has said, or Drew has said, John, we're playing this way too freaking fast. I can't get all the words in. But I think by design everything ticked up a couple notches. Even when I was playing with Cinnamon Jones, that was her thing. Everything has to be just a little bit faster. Keep the room energized. When I was playing with Tony, he wanted me to up tempo on front of the beat always.
Listen to any live Stones record. Everything's 100 miles an hour.
Not 100 miles an hour. I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be uncontrolled. But everything. So that's one thing. Another thing is, we don't stick to the. We'll take liberties with the arrangements of songs.
Sure,
to suit us.
What's interesting too is like these song picks for covers. There's a couple of instances when we're talking about the Rolling Stones and Bowie that has actually kind of made it look like we were riding on the bandwagon because these, unfortunately these people have passed away. Charlie Watts and David Bowie, but we were doing the stuff when they were still here. And then when they passed away, a lot of bands started picking up on the same tunes.
Right.
So I kind of feel like, we were playing, how many years ago? Probably 8 years ago at Nietzsche's, we were doing a David Bowie tribute show. And he was still here. I mean, it was, we just decided to do this thing, and we played a string of Bowie tunes.
And that's because a huge influence of Drew is Bowie, and he sings it so well.
Right.
He's a multi-instrumentalist.
So
sometimes it's
for those
fun,
that think we just jumped on that wagon, we certainly did not.
It's fun also sometimes, too, to take a song ready and see, I'm going to do something really different. One of my friends' bands does a reggae version of Cruel to Be Kind.
Oh, cool.
And then the Super Suckers do a country version of Sail On by the Commodores, and I think it's awesome.
Well, I'm very proud of art. We do a version of a Blondie tune.
Yes.
And it's called the Blondies.
I could see that. It's like
it's the Rapture. Her tune Rapture with that really awesome bass line. When I was in Buddha Hood, we played this song called Spiller. And it was the bass line from Thriller. I can't think of it right now. And we built some stuff around it, a couple changes. I said, and it was a killer hit. I was like, I got to think of something like that.
It got people out of their seat.
That we can make our own. I'm thinking a super hooky bass line. Rapture came to mind, and so we do this crazy jam version of Rapture where the end rap is in there, and I'm very proud of it. I'm saying it now so nobody steals it, because I see a jam band stealing it someday, hearing us and going, I'm going to do that, and you see it at Red Rocks someday.
You know what song I could hear you guys doing? 40,000 Headmen by Traffic. Remember that old song?
Oh, I have to
And
listen to
Drew
that
would kick
again.
ass on that with the flute and the sax.
Well, I know Steve's daughter, so I'll tell her you guys are doing it.
What's that?
Humble brag. I'm friends with Steve's daughter, so I'll tell her doing that. Another one, too, people don't get, but, I know, reading, some books, about from Guns N' Roses and all these bands, one of their biggest influences was 70s bands like Parliament, Cameo, because they had that really heavy bass sound.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I am super 70s
I love
guy.
Parliament. Yeah. I love Parliament.
I love that Spaghetti Incident. Those cover, the CDs Guns N' Roses did, the cover CD. Yeah. I think that's the one, right?
Yeah.
Spaghetti. There's some really good stuff on there.
I am super, super influenced by 70s music. I mean, no question about it.
Yeah.
Except for the headless tom-toms. Ugh. That drives me nuts every time I hear them.
They were good when I was a kid and I couldn't afford.
That drives me crazy, that sound.
And I will say, too, the one song I almost laughed and I'm going to start cataloging. Every friend I know does Jolene right now.
Right?
Everybody does Folsom
You won't catch us doing Jolene.
One of the Love Stick Heartstabbers was a friend of my friend Carl and Jen and everything. He had a band. Mm-hmm. They would do That's the Way It Goes by Johnny Cash. And I was going, thank you, because for once it's not Folsom Prison. Because everybody, I'm like, okay, how many, I would like to feel like going up to
I
them.
agree.
This is really good, but how many songs have they ever done? Maybe there's a couple more.
Right.
So you're cool with us doing 9 to 5?
Sure. I would love that. It would be awesome.
A reggae version.
I would love it. How is it playing reggae on drum? Like, Greg, I've asked this because I've always heard, like, that's pretty hard to play, like, ska, reggae.
It was very tricky for me at first.
You have to smoke up first? Or?
Well, at first I found it wasn't helping me.
I can see why they do it, though. It's very hypnotic when you get into it.
When
Keeps you from playing too fast.
When you're a drummer who comes from rock, blues, funk, you never, ever ignore the first beat of any measure with your foot. And with reggae, the one drop, like I could do the stepper beat, which is all four, four on the floor. I could keep that, but whenever I dropped into a one drop where I had to ignore the one and just drop that bomb on the three, I invariably slowed the tempo down because a one drop is deceivably, the tempo is fast, but it's deceivingly slow.
Yep.
Because it's like 2, 3, 4, 10, boom.
I noticed with No Woman, No Cry, though, it's more traditional. Like when I play that, I try to do a one drop, and it doesn't seem to work.
Do you do the four on the floor?
No, I just do the regular 2 and 4.
Does that song have drums?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a ballad, so it doesn't
No.
I mean, you could play it like
I have
that,
an
but I don't think
acoustic
it goes
version
like
of that
that.
on Legend. There's an acoustic version.
Yeah, that must be what
But I remember
thinking
Keith Richards' thing in his book when he was working with, like, Tosh and all those guys in Jamaica, his classic line, he's going, I don't believe these Jamaican musicians, when they can light up a joint as soon as they wake up, I wait at least 10 minutes.
But with me, it was a big learning curve, and Tony was very patient while I learned.
It's tricky.
I did everything 4 on the floor, and then what I started doing is I started going 4 on the floor with my hi-hat foot off to the side of my hi-hat, and then dropping the bomb on the wait, no. I used my kick drum foot. I would go 1, 2, 3 and drop it on the 3. And then put my foot to the side and play 4 on the floor and that's how.
There you go. That's all right.
And then I started doing just eighth notes on the hi-hat. No accents, no dotted anything, just eighth notes, because that would help me keep the tempo.
And you're lucky to have a percussionist, because he can fill in those timbali things and all that other stuff.
It fell in after working, it fell in place for me. Now I can do it effortlessly.
I think it goes like, because I've always said, you can intimidate a lot of people. Coltrane doesn't have to worry about being intimidated because he's too damn good for anybody to intimidate. But I think you get like ska. I think it looks like, okay, if you're looking out and going, this stuff's easy to play.
Ska's the other end of the spectrum, though. It's like fast and manic, and it's a whole different thing.
Unless you're that mid-tempo stuff, which is round Mound of Sound.
Yeah, but it's like, it seems simple from the outside, but it's really complicated.
It's not
to play. It's like one of those.
It's not.
It's not a lot of notes, but it is. There's
rhythmly, yeah.
But this is like, I could see like you singing on guitar, but I always ask, how the heck do you drummers sing and still play?
I think it's as hard as any instrument, really. I mean,
that probably is too.
When we used to do the Mr. King, which is a song that we are doing again now, but we used to do like a ska version of Mr. King, and I used to like literally get like a certain group of males in front of me when we'd play this live. It was never the girls, but there would be like this group of males that would like kind of rush up to the stage to see how I was picking it, because I didn't just do like up pick or down pick. I did down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, and then I would lift my left hand off and on and off and on and off and on. And they just couldn't kind of grasp how I was getting that, and I didn't realize I was doing something weird. You know what I mean? So it was kind of cool, and it's something that I've done since.
But it's muscle control, and that's another factor.
Well, I wasn't even aware of it, and I guess I'm aware of it now. I use it on purpose now. But that was kind of cool, and it's very, like, I can see, like, as a guitar teacher, it's not easy for a lot of people to do.
Right.
And that's the thing. So you're saying ska sounds easy, but apparently you're right. It's not as easy as it sounds.
No. But he was asking about singing and playing guitar. Was that hard for you?
It depends on what you're talking about, because a lot of guitar stuff is a lot of guitar players sing. A lot of singers play guitar.
Did it come naturally? Like when I didn't come naturally.
Well, it depends on the music. It depends on the music, and that's what I was going to say. When I played bass and had to sing, that was a whole different ballpark, because I had to be in the groove and solid.
Yes.
Guitar, a lot of times you can strum a chord and sing over it. And the chord rings out, and you kind of got some free space.
Or in blues, you're playing in between.
One.
Right. There's other things that are really helping with.
Well, only because I've been doing it so long. It was hard at first, because you got to sing in around your beat, and
And I can do more of that now because, I try to do harder stuff on guitar and sing. My biggest problem is range, with vocals, but...
You have to try to not sing and play the same rhythm you're singing.
Right.
That stuff,
And that was a lot for me, was like reading interviews with guys like Sting or Jack Bruce. And again, I'm looking at bass players because those are the guys that, like I remember reading an interview with Jack Bruce, the song Politician. Right. And he said I had to lock myself in a room for like a week and practice singing and playing that.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine that melody.
And he said then finally I was able to separate, and it is. It's like your brain goes to a zone where you're separating.
He's singing like triplets. I'm a political man. And he's playing that part against it. And so it's tricky.
Well, your music's meant to be played live, too. I mean, it's like that kind, I think. And I think you're always like going to offer a level of quality, but I always look like when I go for what I call the magical gigs, it's like when the audience is into it, the band's into it.
Yeah.
It's like this. Neil Peart used to say that about Rush's gigs. He'd say that on the 60 gigs, we're professional musicians, but every now and then you just look at each other and go, this is one.
Yeah, yep, yeah, we have off nights, and even on our off nights, we do good because we do good with smoke and mirrors because we're like I said, we read each other really well. I mean, and like it's just those hot nights.
Well, we've told the story many times, but Greg's such a pro. He got fish hooked the one night.
That's right.
You can retell it.
I gotta retell.
Tell it, please.
Okay.
Oh, they never heard it, I guess.
All right, so we were playing at Soda's Point. Remember Papa Joe's?
Yeah.
That bar? Okay. So he had this flatbed that he had the band play on, and it was against the fence. And on the other side of the fence was a small walkway, and there was a bait shop, like a tackle shop. Okay. So I'm playing, so I'm against the wall, I'm playing, and this family comes through on the other side, back from their fishing. And the guy's got his pole over his thing, and and I'm playing, and the hook just grabs the back of my shirt, and I didn't realize it. And as I'm playing, I'm being jerked back, and I didn't know.
I got a big one.
Hell was going on.
Caught the big fish.
And it was a very strange experience.
Yeah, the guy's like calling his friends. Hey, you anybody need a drummer?
It was.
I got a really big drummer.
I hooked one.
Wow.
Okay, at least it didn't catch your ears.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that was very strange. And then it was like being possessed or something. And I was like, people are turning around, going, "What the hell's the matter with you?"
If you got yanked out, it would have been like the worst if they somehow yanked you out. But it's like,
the guy was really nice too. He bought me a shirt from the bar because he felt bad ripping my shirt. And I was like, well, that's okay, man.
He pulled you so hard it ripped your shirt?
Yeah.
Oh, my
that's
God.
the thing, though. The show must go on during all the silliness and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, our drummer got hooked away by a fish hook, but we still have to keep playing.
Well, back on that.
He threw me back, too. That's
the thing. Is like the band has to work with you through that and figure out how to continue. And we've had situations like that in this group too, and that is part of the comedy. We might not be our 100% night, if in our eyes, but like John said, we find a way to kind of bring that fire in.
Recovering is 90% of professionalism,
and we do, and we look out for each other too, because I came back from having a pretty bad injury. And, I had to kind of get back into the swing of things and get my stamina up. And don't be talking like, I hear you guys laughing in the background. But same thing with Drew. Drew had a recent surgery, and, we had to kind of cover for him a little bit, I mean, it's not cover for him because he completely carried his weight. Yeah. But at the same time, we want, we try to be conscious of each other. And, like you said, brotherhood, man. We know that even if everything seems and looks fine, there may be something that we should just be aware of.
Yeah.
And we do that for each other, as long as we know.
Yeah.
Right.
But and I think that's part of that chemistry and that brotherhood is, just being there and making sure. Drew and I have both covered solos for each other. At different times. I can tell sometimes it's an equipment failure. Sometimes it's literally an equipment failure.
You're breaking heads or your hi-hat clutch
and you don't
goes
just stop. You know what I mean? You go on and try to
his
try to
sax
continue.
locks up, and it's in the middle of solo. Bobby sees it right away, takes the solo over. Vice versa. That's happened so many times.
I've seen a lot of things, man. Pedals go out, straps come off.
It's called live.
Strings break. Dude, we had a gig, when was this? We had 2 gigs in a row, and I broke every single string.
Wow.
Between the 2 gigs, man.
That was a record archive
Paul's.
to the Smoking Eagle. Was that Paul's?
That was at Paul's party. I busted the first 2 there.
And then we went to Murph's that night.
And then I busted the next one and the next one. Like, what the? I don't know what. I think I just got a faulty set because I just never. I mean, literally every single string. Fingers. It wasn't like I kept breaking the same one either. It was like every single one.
Your frets are honed sharp,
razor
sharp.
Oh, my God.
We had the one, we followed the band Crazy Trainer from my friend Pat Barry's. They're from Kentucky, and they're Ozzy cover band, obviously. And we just it was like a bunch of us, we got to know we'd go out. The one time at the Penny Arcade, they break the strings on one guitar, break the strings. One of my friends goes like 90 miles an hour to go home to get his guitar to bring back from the U.
Wow.
Well, that happened when we played the Rib Fest that one year. My amp started smoking and quit, and I was like, man, I don't have a backup amp. And Dan Eaton
I've seen sound things. I've seen that happen.
Yeah, Dan Eaton was kind enough to lend me a Fishman acoustic amp, which basically sounded like a... kind of like an Ernie Isley early.
Right.
It was really thin but distorted. And, I mean, we got through the gig, but it was like, I was so embarrassed.
All I'm thinking of is that scene in Spinal Tap where they're playing by the airport and it starts coming in on the plane and everything. Yeah. But you have a really big gig coming up at a place we love here, the Riviera Theater.
Oh, man. Yes, we do, man. We're really excited to play this.
I'm going to say I'm not going. Wink, 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 wink. That's okay. I'll explain.
I'll have to try to make that one. I haven't been
every time I've been trying to go to these, something horrible has happened with the band. So I'll just say I'm going somewhere else. Oh, I ended up in Geneseo.
Oh, well, that's good. Keep that strategy. But no, we have a great. It's at the end of this month,
30th,
the 30th of July, Saturday, at the Geneseo Riviera Theater, a historic remodeled. Renovated movie theater that they're having music venues in, a lot of music happening there.
Could we get the masked grappler and have them set up for a ring and have a match there?
That could definitely happen.
I mean, that's Jeremy and Chuck obviously
on all comers. Like I could like Andy Kaufman. I mean, not me, but the masked grappler. He could take on all the women in the theater that night.
I mean, it's not like it's in the round, but
but we can fix it. But I mean, Jeremy and Chuck are good friends, and they're friends of the show and everything. I'm just so happy how this is going there. And I think what I'd like to see come back are these really cool venues.
It is a cool
There's
venue.
something. I mean, I went to see Jason Isbell at the Beacon Theater in New York. Just it was like going to a shrine, seeing the place.
And this place looks awesome.
It is. They did such a. And the thing is, I'll tell everybody because like me I have my issues. There's plenty of parking in back. Lots of parking. It's not that far of a drive.
30 minutes.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Yep, 30 minets.
It's far enough so you get the anticipation for the gig up and not.
And you know what? Go down early. Check out Buzzo. Get down there. There's some beautiful little restaurants and things around in town. And
downtown is really
beautiful. It's so much fun down there.
Hey, you know what? We also have a gig Friday. What is it? The 17th? No. The 15th, this Friday.
Oh, this Friday, yes.
In Leroy.
Oh, okay, that would be the 15th.
Yes.
All right.
The Owaka Festival.
The Owaka Festival at Smoking Eagle Barbecue.
I've heard they got great wings.
I've
heard they got great. I've heard they got great wings there.
Oh yeah, that's
awesome.
Everything.
Actually, Kansas played at that Owaka Festival one year. One of my friends lives out there.
That's a nice little
town. And if you go to that sub place on Main Street, I guess they got like really good steak bombers.
Yep. So those are 2 huge Livingston County gigs that coming up in July, and those are only 2 gigs in July, coming off a really busy schedule, right, Bobby? We've been pounding it since really hard since COVID, and making some good strides. We're talking about getting in the studio to make a record. We're trying to figure out the songs. We're trying to figure out the songs and our style and what we want to do, how we want to do it, because it's important for me to be comfortable in a recording situation, or else you're not going to get the best from me, because I'm not a great studio drummer. Never have been.
We are a live element band, and that's the thing. I feel the same way. I need to be pretty well rehearsed with stuff, and but that's the great thing about having a couple of weeks off too, is to kind of hone in on even some new originals or whatever, and just kind of take a breath, because You know, but not that, you know, I like playing a lot of gigs personally. Because
Yeah,
I feel like that's when I play the best, too.
Yes, yeah, we're getting a lot of, you're right, Bobby. But it's a fine line of burning yourself out or and having time to, like Bobby said, really take some real good time in the woodshed to start really grinding on new material.
And how does I think also too the best thing is when it just comes naturally, obviously.
Yeah.
And how does where do you get your inspiration for your songs? Do they just pop in your head, or
for me they just pop in my head.
See some weird thing and you're like, wow, I'm gonna write about.
Well,
that.
Fire It Up is. I don't have many songs. Bobby has a catalog of hundreds.
Well, where do you get your ideas?
That's a good question because I think, and this is probably due to like my past.
Well, we're out of time right now.
I did about I don't know 8 or 10 years in a band called Blue Axis as bass player. Oh, yeah. So most of my songs these days tend to be they tend to start with like a bass line. Like I try to come up with sort of a bass groove that I think feels like something that, and I try not to like purposely not to record that stuff and see if it sticks with me. If it sticks in my head, then I feel like I'm onto something.
That's a good
And then I'll kind of go on, and I'm not saying that's 100%. There are some guitar things that I've come up with first, but I'd say 80% of the time it's a bass groove that kind of gets my inspiration going. And it could be anything. I mean, there's also been just an idea. Like I'll get an idea. Like I have a new one right now. Here's an example. I have a new one right now that we haven't really quite figured out what the title's going to be or anything, but I got so inspired by listening to Old Chicago, right. And they had that song, The Introduction. Uh-huh. And so lyrically, it's kind of influenced by that. The song sounds nothing like it, but lyrically, it's like, hey, come check us out. Welcome to the show kind of thing. And then started thinking about Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Hey, welcome back, my friends, to the show. Yeah. Not so much psychedelic, but, this sort of welcoming people in lyrically. And that was really the basis of it, welcome all, one and all in one,
Yeah, Cheap Trick had that one. Hello, good evening, ladies and
Right.
gentlemen.
Yeah. That's the
and that's the thing is making sure that everybody's welcome. It's like lyrically, it's not just.
Are you ready to rock?
Again, not that genre specific thing, but who cares who you are and whatever. We hope you dig it.
The only thing, we should get our money back. The show did end eventually.
Well,
that was the first thing I ever heard from them.
Now we're going home, yeah.
It must have been that bleed a blade of grass or blade of grass.
Someone get them a sandwich and a water. The show is still going on.
But what is a tarkus? I still never figured that out.
That's the thing that
the
goes...
armadillo
armored. It's a tank and an armadillo.
I thought it was the area between down there, like that's your taint.
No, that's your tuchus.
They took us.
And we could debate this for an hour about prog rock.
Hey, I hit one.
All the Roger Dean album covers and stuff. What the heck?
Can I get a studio?
But that was the way I used to go too. Like in this, like you go to the record store and they didn't cost that much. You saw a cool cover, you just bought it and took your chances. That's how you found a lot of cool
Sometimes,
stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny when you ever find weird things. Somebody threw out this old stereo thing and they had a cassette in it. So I took the thing home. It worked for a while, but I had the cassette, and it's called Buckethead. Have you ever heard of
it? That played for Guns N' Roses, I think.
With the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
No, these guys are like a echoey 90s funk.
Oh, not Buckethead, the guitar player.
No, this is like a groove thing, and I listened to it yesterday. I just happened to throw it in there, and it's like echoey vocal. It's like rave type music.
Oh, really?
It's really cool, actually.
I only know the guitarist with the chicken bucket.
Yeah,
I do too.
Buckethead, right?
But I found there's a name. My good friend Tommy Francis. He had a band called the Bobs for a while. They all called the Bobs. I was in House of Guitars. There is a band called the Bobs.
I'm not in it.
No, neither am I.
You should lobby to be.
But I was going to tell Tommy there's like a band called the Bobs with all these guys.
I met a bass player dude who's about my age on Facebook. He's from Chicago and his name is John Payton. He came across my site and we became friends and I was like, imagine if I had a whole band full of John Paytons. That would be really weird.
That would be a project.
No, but again, to sum it up, the John Payton Project, the JPP, is not John Payton's project. It's that because we didn't come up with a really decent name.
No, think of like the Allman Brothers. You know how the Allman Brothers got their name when they were Allman Joyce. The rest of the band said they wanted them to name the Allman Brothers. Wasn't them.
Well, I thought Drew kind of was put on the spot. We had a gig and it was like, what's the band called? And Drew just kind of spurted out the John Payton Project.
Yes,
and we kind of had to stick with it at that point.
Better than like the Bathtub Marys or something like that.
I like the JPP branding. I didn't realize at the time the responsibility on my shoulders if I want to take the band's name on. It's like, you know what? You're not just the drummer anymore, dude. If you want to take the name on,
you're the figurehead.
You gotta be more than just the drummer guy. So it took me a while to settle into that role, but it really isn't my band. I would be nowhere without these guys, and it wouldn't be the same without these guys.
And we wouldn't be without you. You have great charisma and your musicianship and your
thanks, man.
And genuinely, people freaking dig you, man.
And he'll fight anybody that says different.
And we, I mean, not just us guys in the band. I'm talking about everybody. You know, even my mom is like, "He's such a nice guy. I love him. He's so talented."
Well, we all are.
I don't know why I just did that. My mom doesn't sound like that.
But you wish she did.
The show is a weird effect on anybody who's in this studio.
My mom.
But thanks a lot, you guys, for coming down. This has been lots of fun, man.
Thank you, guys.
So much.
Now, you're always welcome back. But how do we grab your stuff, and what are you going to play at the end? And
at the end, I have a live recording that came out really well. It's the only thing.
That's why you got to play live all the time. Don't do the studio, just play it live.
Well, this is from not too long ago, Fairport Music Festival. Caught a really great recording. Ended up putting a live record out of a few hundred pressings that we don't have anymore of, but I happen to have one over there. I dug and found it.
I've seen these online for going for thousands.
Oh, you bought them?
Thousands.
Is that where they went?
I was bootlegging them.
Thousands of yen, which is like 14 cents. But I'm going to play Mound of Sound. I got Mound of Sound on there. It's a really good version.
This is like a segue to nothing in particular, but this is a show when I was in Warsaw, Poland. I was drinking these vodka martinis. I got a bill for 650,000 zlotys, and I thought I was going to jail. And it's like, what? It's like 10 bucks.
I know. I bought a pair of shoes when I was in Italy, or like a long time ago on the road, but it was 19,000 lira, and I'm like, what? It ended up being like $10.
You ever see like that movie Euro Trip? I'll tip them. See, I have a nickel. I buy the hotel. But thanks. So you're going to play Mound of Sound. Very good song. And,
thanks, man.
And you got anything else coming up besides them, or are you just sticking it down for now?
We have
all you guys, like Bob, you doing anything solo or around? And then Greg,
what are you just really trying to hone in on some new ideas and get them up and running with this group. And we have just the rest of the summer stuff that we're trying to get people hyped into, Riviera Theater. We got the Waka Fest. We have Fairport Food and Music Festival coming up, which we're going to be doing the festival, and we'll be playing.
You know what you have too? You have Zubru.
Yes.
Here's
our August schedule.
When's that?
August 6th, Saturday. We're at the B-side.
I just 19th. Thought to interrupt for a minute, John. You know what? If you would have gone to that show, I could have driven you your car.
Well, next time. I was too tired to walk all the way.
No, it's okay. But I thought about that. Well, if you would have made it up there, I could have driven you. I actually got there early.
I thought about that, too. But, man, I wasn't even a quarter of the way in, and I was like, man, I can't walk.
You have no idea what we're talking about. Let's go on.
You're talking about
the Zubru.
You do August 19th. We've been asked to play one of the Zubrus. That's a Friday.
Oh, good.
Then August 27th, we got a double dipper. We're playing Fairport Music Festival at 4 in the afternoon on one of the big stages. And then that night, we're going to be rocking the B-side.
You don't have to go far, at least.
That's great.
But think about this when you play Zubru. Nobody listens to me. You have to do a cover song by the Animals.
Oh,
interesting.
And nobody's done that yet.
Didn't they do the...
Rage like a beast in a cage.
Or do something animal-related.
Okay, I'm going to think on that. But it's a reggae night, right? So they know that we're not exclusive reggae. We play a lot of different styles. So, maybe we'll, throw like, Monkey Man reggae version.
The lion sleeps tonight.
It's kind of good to know.
Do a reggae version of Eye of the Tiger just to be funny.
Oh my God!
I'm doing a gig at the Steel Revival thing, whenever that is next week.
That is next weekend.
Yeah, so with Brian Lindsay,
Next
I forget.
Saturday.
Yeah, so next
The
Saturday.
18th.
Yeah, I guess we're up at the corner part by the brewery, by Fairport Brewery.
Oh, cool, man.
All
Okay,
good.
that's
it's all
it for
good,
me.
but that's about it. But do you have a website and stuff? This last thing, because we never promote.
We have an Instagram page, John Payton Project. We have Facebook page, John Payton Project. Look those up. Like us. Keep abreast of all our activities there. We got a lot of stuff going on.
Very good, and we'll see you around here again, obviously.
Thank you so much, Rob.
And thank you
thanks,
very
guys.
much. It's always more secure with
Thanks,
this because
Greg.
we know we
You're
have
welcome.
really good security
Great
here.
seeing you.
By
Yeah.
the masked bad grappler,
Yeah.
nobody's going to get in on us.
Yeah, he's right here under my chair. Let me get him out.
That's a strange place for a
Yeah,
grappler.
he's out. All right, look out.
Well, it
He's
depends.
here.
Grapplers are swingers
Was that
now.
a
But very good, and enjoy the song, and thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, buddy.
Stay there.
Bye.
If you don't grab my depends. Depends.
Round, Mound of Sound.